All right, we should be on air. Hello, what's up, everybody? It is the Dark Conservatarian, or rather, coming to you as just Zach, and I'm here with a couple of my entertainment podcast co-hosts, Loudmouth Reviews and Arkham Knight Rider. Say hi, you two.
Yeah.
Hero.
All right, so after the last episode, the last episode of where that me and Arkham were responding to that one dinosaur avatar guy. Can't even remember his name right
Matt
now.
Dominus.
Raph Dominus.
Raph Dominus.
Matt Dominus. That's his name, right? Matt Dominus?
Math Dominus.
Math. Okay, Math Dominus. Gotcha. Yeah, Math Dominus. We responded to him, and then soon after that, I was all like, look for some more content where they're responding to on this entertainment podcast. And so I thought I'd check back at one YouTube channel that Arkham had introduced me to called Benthelooney. And the very first review that he had ever shown me was actually a review of quote-unquote angry movie reviewers. But then I get shown this one right here, and I just got to ask myself, Arkham, have you ever seen this review right here?
I've seen this video. I've seen this video a few times. It's something. But yeah.
Have you ever responded to it?
I did at one point, but it's no longer up. So this is it'll probably be fine to respond to it now. So.
All right. So I just got a question. Why didn't you introduce me first with this video to introduce me to Benthelooney?
Because I had more at the time. I wanted to say some more about his video about angry reviewers. That's the main reason. Also because at the time that's when the stuff where I was making fun of videos, Benthelooney's, this video in particular was still up. It's no longer now, but
well, it's either way. And hello, everybody in the live chat. No one, Koi Monster, Chaos, and Sent1000. Yeah, I mean, this just on the surface, with the first minute that I watched of this video right here, it looks like a very worthy response, like very lol-cow-ish. So I guess before we actually get onto his opinion and reviewing it of Joker, what do you two think of the movie Joker?
I absolutely adored Joker. I thought it was, a close second for my favorite movie of 2019. My favorite being 1917, which I thought was an astonishing masterpiece. But Joker was a very close second. Although it wasn't a very faithful adaptation of the comic book character, it was a deep and incredibly well-written dive into mental illness and the way society kind of treats outcasts and the mentally ill, and kind of the slow path towards a darkness that some people can lead to. It really was a great delve into the world we live in. It kind of waved a mirror at the audience that says, how do you treat the mentally ill? Because it's it has a brilliant sense of tragedy to it, of course, since with Arthur Fleck, he didn't have to become the Joker. He was pushed into that that way. And I like how the movie entirely focuses on him, and kind of just shows you his perspective on the world. Like a lot of things you see turn out later to be kind of his delusions or his mind, and keeping that always from his perspective really helps you understand his point of view. It was an incredibly well done movie. Todd Phillips did a fantastic job.
I don't know how much I think about the theories of it all just being in his head, most if not all the story of Joker. But I would definitely concur that 1917 was a better movie than Joker. I mean, 1917 at least left me a little bit more emotionally fulfilled than Joker. And there was at least some legitimately investable and likable characters in that. Whereas Joker, the only really likable character that I can point out in that movie was the little midget. Outside of that, all the characters were just kind of dislikable. But then again, I think that might be the point of the movie. It's supposed to show the
point of the movie.
The dirty side of
society.
Dislikable. And that is the reason to like it, is of it being like an analytical movie of society using a DC property like Joker as a vehicle for that. But
That's exactly
outside of
what Todd Phillips said he was making with this. He said, we're making a real movie and we're using a comic book character in order to get people's seats in the theater. Basically, he saw it as basically like a movie about mental illness and about society, kind of something more on the lines of like Taxi Driver, and then just putting the name of a comic book character on to basically get more of that mass audience. And it's also worth noting that the movie was a massive, massive box office hit. It made over $1 billion on a $55 million budget without any help from the entertainment media, who were universally against it and who Todd Phillips rightfully told to shove, and without getting released in China.
right.
It kind of defied conventional wisdom in that, in order for a movie to make $1 billion, you need to both get it released in China and you need to have the entertainment media on your side. Well, Todd Phillips told them to fuck off and China to fuck off and still made $1 billion. Good on it.
Congratulations. I guess Disney should be looking at Joker. And what was the parent company that was overseeing Todd Phillips over the creation of Joker?
Warner Brothers.
Oh, it was Warner Brothers?
Yeah, they own all DC properties.
Warner Brothers wasn't so afraid of losing the Chinese market to where that they wanted to be heavy-handed with Todd Phillips directing directions, right?
Well, I mean, since the movie only cost $55 million, they really didn't figure it would be as much of a hit as it was. But since it didn't cost that much, if it flopped, it really wouldn't lose them that much.
Right.
That's the kind of thing. Another thing I found out about it is Todd Phillips, with his director's contract, he forgoed most of his director's salary early on in exchange for a greater percentage of the box office, which is a risky move because it means you'll make a killing if your movie's a hit, but you'll make it very, very little if your movie's a flop. He chose to bet on his movie being a hit, and he cashed in. Again, good on Todd Phillips.
Let it be a staple example within cinematic history that you do not need China to be very lucrative, to make a very lucrative movie.
And that's always a good thing.
An opinion to kind of expound on what Coin Monster is saying in the chat. It's not a horrible movie, but it's a work I respect more than I like, which that is a fair opinion. That's the only thing that I would say that I have with Joker movie is it's not really a movie that I can go back and watch for fun. Unlike Fifth Element or Starship Troopers, it's just more. If I wanted like something really more realistic, and I don't know, sort of almost Threads like, the movie Threads, Loudmouth that you reviewed, almost Threads like in its thought provocation and whatnot, then that would be the purpose of Joker. But it's not really a fun, in the typical sense, movie.
No, I mean. Yeah, but neither is like Schindler's List, but it's still a great movie. No one watches it for fun. You watch it because it's a good view into the and kind of what man's inhumanity to man.
Yep. Yeah. Even Schindler's List, though, had a few more likable characters in it than Joker, though, I would add.
Well, what's great about Schindler's List is the first half of the movie makes you unsure of the character of Oskar Schindler. You don't really know if you don't really see him as the hero he becomes by the end of it.
No, of course. I mean, it's one thing for a movie to make a character unlikable at first, but increasingly make him more and more likable going towards the end of the movie. Whereas throughout the entire movie, on the alternative, he starts off as somewhat likable and sympathetic, but then becomes increasingly less and less likable. That being the case of Joker, because Joker seemed like a moral type of character. He hadn't done anything outright good or bad, but then he just gets increasingly violent and psychotic.
Right. One funny thing I read was from one of the people Oskar Schindler saved. Is I read a testimony that said that he was a little apprehensive about the movie at first because he thought it played up some of the more unsavory aspects of Oskar Schindler a bit too much in the first half. Because you could tell he just adored Oskar Schindler. He said he was like one of the kindest people he knew. Where's that go?
I have no clue. I want to continue.
Hold on. Okay, I was saying, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was 8 years old when Oscar Schindler saved his life.
I dropped my speaker by my desk. That was what I was going to do right there.
I was going to say the guy was 8 years old when Oscar Schindler saved his life. He was 78 when he died. So he was on this earth for 70 years, had children and grandchildren, all because of Oscar Schindler.
God bless. And I guess sorry for taking so long on that, but Arkham, what's your opinion on Joker?
I think it's a very well made movie and all that. Granted, I think would I say it is still? I think it's still my favorite movies list. I don't know if I will have it on there if I ever decide to rewatch it again, as I do think there are some moments that are a little bit cheesily handled. I don't have the same problem that Coy has. I think honestly that its benefit is that it's completely taken straight. Because if there was some moments of levity, it would have completely fucked with the tone. Like, what this kind of movie is going for demands it be 100% straight. And I get that it's Joker. And, so we'll get into this. I think this brings out later on, this particular video points it out. But no, in the context of this particular film, where this was going, when the subject matter it was handling, it was extremely a misguided one. Also, by the way, I could argue with Berserk. Berserk is extremely dark, but has that with the funny, concerning the content that Berserk has, that could also be seen as like jarring. It's like you have this scene where, there's some comedy, and we have, for instance, one of the things that Berserk covers is rape. That's the thing that covers a lot. So it's gonna be really jarring if it could be seen as very jarring. So. Again, probably not the greatest thing to work with, but again, I guess if you prefer more things with more lighter elements in there, it's fine. I just don't see that as a good criticism, but otherwise, mine's like a few moments where like a good example of like a moment I just thought wasn't handled as well as it could have was when was it Joker? I forgot what was it, Zazie Beetz' character? I forgot her name. When Arthur met up with her and it was revealed that it turns up he didn't actually know where everything was in his head. That's a cool moment, but the way it was executed, like the revelation was a bit cheesily handled.
Let me look up the one girl's name. I think I may know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I also what an interesting thing about that is that scene with him in the room with her is the last we see of her. We don't know if he killed her or not. I like that he leaves it vague.
Oh no, I like that. I like that part. I like the idea of the scene. I like the end of the scene. I don't like how they went with the flashbacks. Like I get what they're going for. I understand what they're going for, but it just felt so kind of. It felt a bit much like a sketch from a YouTube video. I don't know. It just didn't gel well with me personally.
Actually, by the way, it worked for me very well because you feel with Arthur Fleck, he probably has never had a woman love him because of his.
Oh no. The scene, the idea of the scene, and what they're going for, I think is really cool. I just don't think it could have been a bit better handled. It could have been
he sees
better hand.
Yeah, he sees this his neighbor who's an attractive woman, and he just kind of he just sees her walk by every day. And he develops this fictional relationship with her in his mind because he's suffering from chronic loneliness.
Yeah. Zazie Beetz, yeah, that is her name. And Sophie Dumond is her name in the movie. One thing that I will point in Deadpool 2, she played as Domino. I still have yet to watch Deadpool 2. I probably ought to watch it just in full.
It's okay.
But yeah, anyway, so I guess to sort of get on with the review, are we ready to rip this a new asshole?
Sure.
All right.
Welcome back to Ben Rants. Now, when I was a kid, people kept their political opinions out of movie reviews. Guess this movie is relevant again after getting nominated for 11 Oscars! 11 Oscars? Are you kidding me?
No, because it was just that fucking good.
Why should we care about the...
Wait, one at a time, guys.
So here's my first question. Why the fuck should we care about what the Oscars have to say about movies? Considering they put, was it best costume and makeup to Suicide Squad? It's like, I enjoy that movie, but it doesn't have that good of costume and makeup. What the fuck is up wrong with you? But yeah, also
Killer Croc's outfit was believable. It's just the acting of Killer Croc was not.
I thought the makeup on that thing was hideous. I thought that was like really poor makeup. Like,
But anyway, what were you about to say, Loudmouth? About the nominations?
It got a lot of Oscar nominations because it was really damn good. Joaquin Phoenix genuinely gave an amazing performance.
Yeah, it gave a very high quality performance and results in general in a year that was just chock full of subpar content. Well, aside from maybe you could argue Endgame, but even with Endgame, there was no acting performances that really stuck out as really gripping amongst the entire wide cast of Endgame. Like, I think that might be the biggest downfall for Endgame, is because Endgame had so many characters jam-packed into it to where you cannot pinpoint one single actor that gave that gripping Oscar-worthy performance, whereas Joker had Joaquin Phoenix in it, giving a gripping performance.
I disagree. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt, I thought, gave a great performance in that movie.
yeah. I thought Leo actually turned something. I'm
Yeah,
not the biggest fan
Leo
of
as
Leo, but
Are you talking about? Was that made in
The
2019?
new Quentin Tarantino movie.
yeah. Like,
Okay.
I don't like Quentin Tarantino as a person very much, but I do like some of his movies. So.
Oh, say what you want of him as a person. That guy is just like the king of movie dialogue. What was it? Brad Pitt was in another movie that year that bored me out of my fucking mind. It was called Ad Astra. The trailers all looked interesting. I watched the movie. It was dull, boring crap.
I know that one of my friends really loves Ad Astra. I haven't seen it, but
Ad Astra,
all right.
Isn't that a sci-fi movie almost along the same lines as Christopher Nolan's Interstellar?
Yes, it tried to be, but it was way less entertaining. It had something that in theory should have been a gripping story, but in practice, none of it was compelling.
Maybe I'll have to.
Which made it a very frustrating movie.
Maybe I'll have to give it a watch. But I've never seen Once Upon a Time. But yeah, I don't know. I guess. What you were saying?
Whereas in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he trains a pit bull to bite someone's cock, and it's just it's way funny.
Oh yeah, there was that scene. My favorite was.
Hey, the pit bull was just doing what he was bred to do, man.
Yep, the flamethrower. Remember that?
Hey! You better calm it down. You're just feeling incredible Aspie's pit bull hatred. That's a joke, by the way, Aspie.
Hating them's irrational. They're just dogs, But I mean, they are more likely to be dangerous than other breeds.
I'm just joking. It's just that there was that one point a few years back of when the Aspie went on against pit bulls, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway.
I mean, statistically, it's correct. They do attack more than other breeds, but I mean, doesn't mean they're all like evil dogs. They're still dogs.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Why are you so upset? You said you loved this movie. That's right. I did when I first saw it. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wow, this movie really pisses me off. How can I not?
So he basically turned around the movie makers like, I like this movie until I got woke and realized it's a poopy shit movie.
Well, I mean, your opinions of movies can change over time.
Yeah, I know. I find it convenient that a lot of the people who hate Joker are like, oh, hey guys, I used to like this movie until I got educated and realized it was a shitty poop film. And I'm going to explain to you why you should hate it. And it's not that good. Like, shut up. Shut up.
A good example of a movie where I've kind of turned around and like a lot less than I used to with Star Wars: The Force Awakens. When I first saw the movie, I said, no, that was pretty good. Because I liked I was interested to where it was leading. When I saw kind of the next two parts and see that it kind of led to nowhere, I kind of have a lower opinion of it as a movie than I did when I first saw it. So it is possible for your opinion of a movie to change, and you kind of different perspective comes in later that makes you suddenly dislike it. I mean, that's not really invalid.
Yeah,
I know, but the way
that's legitimate criticism as far as my opinion of Force Awakens go. And by extension, when I first watched Force Awakens, the only flaws that I thought of it was like too fast paced to the point of it was so rushed. It felt so rushed, like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. That was about how rushed it felt like. And plus, it was pretty much a cut-for-cut copy of A New Hope, except with a little bit of a new timeline in the Star Wars universe. That was it. Then with later thought into it, I was all like, they treated Finn a little bit like a bitch. He was like being pushed around consistently by Rey, and plus Rey being able to Jedi mind trick a stormtrooper. No way that should have been possible with the context and time of everything. She hadn't learned of the Force and, all that other stuff.
I just thought, well, where was this movie leading? Like, I thought there were threads that could have led to interesting places, and time revealed that, of course, they weren't really leading anywhere, and the filmmakers they made that movie with really no clue where to go next.
Yeah.
That's the main thing right there. But with Joker, it's a very standalone movie, so it being so disliking because like later films in the series where worse isn't really a thing. It really works just on its own, whereas that was part of a trilogy.
Yeah.
Right.
The main point I really it's like I get that and I understand that. What I'm pointing out, particularly with a lot of these people, it's what I'm getting, and maybe I'm wrong. It's the whole I'm smarter than you. I'm going to explain to you why this is the case. It's the same thing Ralph came off, although I'll give Ben. The only thing we give Ben is that he made at least it shorter. He didn't try to sound as much as a pseudo-intellectual as Ralph did, mainly because Ralph had a wonderful saying of people who find Citizen Kane boring are stupid. But yeah, it always comes off amazing. You have this particular saying, whatever, it comes off as incredibly snooty and just like, shut up.
Yeah. All right, so continuing on.
Yeah, let's continue.
It's the greatest movie ever. Yeah, if all you watch is comic book movies, this ain't the.
Says the guy who's only seen comic book movies, crappy Terminator movies, and the only kaiju stuff he's ever actually watched is a Godzilla film. It's like, stop talking to me about shallow movie tastes, okay, buddy?
Yeah, and besides that, for those people who, it's the best movie ever, yeah, sure, if all you do is watch comic book movies or read comic books or whatever exactly he said, that ain't exactly true, because if you're going to, be holding this movie's quality up to the standard of how loyal it is to comics, how much in line it is with them, and go off of that metric, then no, not really. It's not a loyal comic adaptation in of itself. As a movie by itself, it's good. That's what I would just say. And I wouldn't even say that it's the best movie of all time. In fact, who the heck is saying that's the best movie of all time? I mean,
there's probably some people out there. Like, again, there's the old saying that every movie ever made, it's usually someone's favorite film. So I'm not too shocked that someone probably said that. And do I agree with that statement that it's the best movie ever made? No, I don't think it's the best movie ever made. I think there are movies I prefer over it. Like, I prefer, good example, if I were to watch this or say something like Tomie Unlimited, I'm going to pick Tomie Unlimited because I think it's actually more of a better written film, in my opinion.
Right.
But then again, however, though, people probably will think differently than me. Tomie Unlimited is stupid and dumb, and Joker is better. Again, I understand if that's the case. So
if he was to say though that it's the best movie that people are saying is the best movie of 2019, that would be more accurate because I've seen more people.
Yeah. I think a lot of people say that. Yeah.
I would have said that other than 1917. Other than 1970 came out a couple weeks later. I'm like, okay, that was.
Yeah. A critical drinker, he said that he thinks it would. I don't know if he still holds that by that opinion. Maybe he likes 1917 better than Joker, just like you, Loudmouth. But I do know that at the time that he was saying that's probably going to be the best movie of 2019. But and sure, Arkham, there is those few people who are saying it's probably the best movie of all time. But I just don't see it being like a whole mass group amount of people.
Yeah, I don't see it as a mass amount of people, and I don't think it's a real problem either that someone considers it like their favorite movie.
Every movie is somebody's favorite movie.
We should also be taking down people who are saying Star Wars is the greatest movie or their favorite film of all time.
Right, Loudmouth, you were saying though.
Yeah. So every movie is somebody's favorite movie. You said, I don't know.
That's a saying. It's usually
wonder who in the world the remake of Mulan is their favorite movie. Maybe Xi Jinping.
Blaze.
Maybe Xi Jinping's favorite movie. I guess I don't know.
It's one of his favorite films, considering how he treats it.
Oh, sorry.
Pretty much. And me personally, I would say that Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. In fact, all three of the Lord of the Rings, actually, I like better than Joker, personally, anyways.
Yeah.
And I'd say that I would at least call Infinity Wars better than a Joker, at least. Endgame, I don't know. Anyway.
I could see Infinity War being favorite over Joker. I could see someone saying that, but Endgame's just too much of a mess.
Yeah, somebody out there probably thinks that. I'm just saying that's my opinion, though. I do not know if I would consider Endgame better than Joker, but anyway, moving on.
Let's continue. Yeah.
First time this happened to me, I call this the Dark Knight effect. I love a movie when I first see it, but the more I think about it, and the more I hear people constantly say the same crap about it over and over again, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I get it. You love the movie. Can we please talk about something else?
Why? Other people saying that something is good that you originally liked makes you no longer like it. That is a very weak standard of.
Yeah, I can understand I can understand if he said there were too many people talking about it, praising it, and to the point where when he watched it, it disappointed him. Like that's happened to me several times. And like for example, I'm not gonna watch Wolfwalkers because I think it looks kind of shit. I think the animation looks really ugly to me, and the story does not interest me, despite being a werewolf fan. And yet everyone's praising it as the greatest thing ever, and it really does this, and it's this, and like, he shut up for 2 seconds. It looks like garbage to me. I'm never gonna watch it unless you can give me a good reason other than it's anti-religious, which is a major not appeal for me at all.
Arkham, Arkham, what I'm reading from how Ben's opinion has flowed here, he originally liked it and he grew to dislike it because everyone else was praising it, whereas you are actually not quite the opposite, but you originally disliked Wolfwalker, and it's in spite of other people praising it that you still don't like it. Like I
haven't seen it. Here's the thing.
Ben went from like to dislike because of overpraise.
I know. I'm saying this is the situation I can understand. I haven't seen Wolfwalkers. This is from what I can tell from like everything I've seen, every bits I've seen of it. If that was what he was saying about Joker, I would be okay. I can get on board with that. I wouldn't agree with it at all, but I can get on board with that. That's not what he's going for. It's, I liked it, but I'm like, oh God, can you shut up?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, it's still a weak standard of why to be growing a dislike for a movie. Like, I don't know if that would be guilt by association. It'd be, I don't know, some other kind of fallacy that someone would have to develop a new term for.
Yeah, pretty shallow reason to not like something.
I mean,
you give a really shallow reason.
That's extreme. That's extremely shallow. That's the shallowest reason ever. Not like something, but whatever.
Imagine if I, with all the people that be overly sucking Ben Shapiro's dick by making all of these videos saying Ben Shapiro uber pwns a liberal, whatever. Imagine if I was to be seeing all the actual Ben Shapiro fanboys doing that stuff, and I suddenly went from liking and respecting Ben Shapiro somewhat, anyways, to outright disliking him. That'd be bullcrap reasoning. But anyway.
It would, yeah.
But all I'll say is that's not my only reason, and don't act like it hasn't happened to you either.
Well, I don't think I've had that heavy opinion on Black Panther, and I've never seen Frozen, and I'm highly disinterested in it. So
here's the big shocker to you, Ben. I didn't like Frozen when I first saw it, and only kind of tolerated it on like different watches. So.
I mean, how did your?
It was fine, but I thought it was way overrated.
What, Frozen?
Yeah, even when it first came out, I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, but it wasn't like the best thing. I thought like Monsters University, which came out that same year, was a better animated movie.
But you haven't grown to outright dislike it, like Ben here is saying that did.
I don't outright dislike Frozen. I still think it's a perfectly fine animated film.
Yeah. But what about Black Panther, though?
Again, perfectly good movie. Nothing wrong with it.
I agree. Black Panther was a fine movie. I think the reaction about like people say, "Oh, if you don't like this movie, you're racist. No, I think they're stupid, but I still think it's a good film. Even my dad can like it, and he's like, I think if he's like against like those type of people and he's like sick of like the SJW kind of stuff, if he can enjoy it, then you've done something right. But
I mean,
it wasn't really a very SJW movie, though.
No, I'm talking about like the crowds,
the crowd's reaction. Yeah,
maybe the crowd's reaction, but the movie itself, not really.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's keep on.
Yep.
Oh, what do I like about the movie? Well, it brings the Batman universe back into its gritty and dark roots. Its low-budget nature.
Well, Zack Snyder was trying to do that somewhat. I do not know if, like, in recent cinema, there's ever been a time of when somebody was trying to bring the Batman universe into a lighthearted and fluffy sort of...
Joel Schumacher was the only one I could think of.
Yeah, but that was before The Dark Knight. But ever since The Dark Knight, everybody has been portraying Batman as dark and gritty. Like, Christopher Nolan did his own take, and even Zack Snyder and the DCEU did their own dark take on Batman, even if it was a little bit more over the top than Nolan's. And Joker, pretty much the same thing.
Darker doesn't equal better is a mistake a lot of people make. Like, making a movie darker and grittier does not make it a better movie.
Yeah,
I understand. I agree. It's just going off of Ben's metric here is what we're arguing off of.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Is a throwback to 70s crime movies, and Joaquin Phoenix gave a performance.
That's it. Like, it's not just a performance, it's a great performance. Like, I would say that's the kind of way that I would summarize Chris Evans' performance of Captain America. He gave a performance. It was believable enough, but it wasn't like really groundbreaking, and it wasn't really bad either. Whereas Joaquin Phoenix's performance of Joker was pretty groundbreaking. It wasn't just a performance, like if it was an average performance of a character.
You wait till he has to say about that.
All right, so let's get on with it then.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I can't call this character the Joker. I don't know what is so hard for directors to get right about this guy. He's not Osama bin Laden, he's not an emo, and he's not some sad poor guy with mental problems.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, Ben, that people do interesting and creative things with the Joker. I'm extremely sorry that we haven't used the same template over and over and over and over again. I'm sorry he's not like Optimus Prime, where the writers, for the most part, can never seem to like distance themselves from the G1 their cartoon, and they have to reuse it like a Walking Dead corpse. No, I'm sorry that we're doing something interesting. I should have known, Ben. Yeah, I should have.
Well, Jared Leto's Joker sucks, though. So he's right.
Yeah. Jared Leto's Joker sucks. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, indeed, Joker is not an emo. But as far to expand on your criticism, if somebody was to use the same exact template, like let's say Jack Nicholson, for example, people say, even Watch Mojo said that Jack Nicholson's Joker is probably the most comic faithful adaptation of Joker. If somebody was to take the Jack Nicholson template and do it over and over and over again, it get fucking boring eventually. So do you really want people to just do copy and paste? To keep it interesting, people are going to take certain twists on a very famous character. And also, the whole thing about Osama bin Laden, saying that Heath Ledger's Joker was somewhat reminiscent of Osama bin Laden. For one thing, I'd say it's not quite like Osama bin Laden because he wasn't like a religious, politically motivated terrorist.
Yeah. But like the videos where he would like release videos to terrorize people of it, or torture videos. That was definitely reminiscent of many terrorist groups. Particularly where he captures that one guy who was pretending to be Batman, one of those average Joes who tried to step in Batman's place. That scene was genuinely terrifying. All right, you can hear him just torturing this guy, and you're like, holy shit.
My question above all. How is it so disloyal to the character of Joker to be making him some kind of all-controlling, almost terrorist-esque sort of figure? Like, that's what he...
Not at all. That is what he was. The character was always...
Yeah.
a mass murdering psychopath. That's
Yeah.
I mean, Ledger's Joker wasn't perfectly comically accurate. It doesn't have the whole he fell into acid that bleached his skin thing.
But Ben is saying that's inaccurate because reasons.
But personality wise, that was pretty much exactly the comic book character. He was a sadistic mass murdering psychopath. That is what the character always was. Which, admittingly, though, Arthur Fleck's Joker was different than almost any other interpretation in the fact that he's meant to be sympathetic. One thing about Ledger's Joker, there is nothing remotely sympathetic about him. He is just as twisted and evil as they come. Whereas with Fleck's Joker, you kind of do sympathize with this guy because you see that he's had it rough in his life and what have you. And also, Fleck's Joker is not a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, I mean, Joker has always been at least somewhat of a criminal mastermind throughout all past properties of the Joker. That's
Fleck
what Ben doesn't get.
Well, Fleck, though, the new version, the Arthur Fleck version, the Joaquin Phoenix version, he's definitely not. That's one thing about him that was very, very different. If Batman ever showed up in this movie, the movie would be over in 10 seconds. This guy could not last for 2 seconds against Batman. This is not someone who could outthink Batman. He's not someone who could outfight Batman. That's why it really isn't the Joker. It just feels like kind of a movie about a mentally ill man who kind of is pushed over the edge. I think Todd Phillips suggested that Arthur Fleck, though, isn't really the Joker in this universe, that he's really the man who inspired the Joker. Like the real Joker, who Batman fights, he'll appear later. I kind of like that idea.
Not gonna lie, at this point, I'm not sure if this dude's pathetic rant or you guys' well-earned shredding of it is funnier, says Mikhail. Well, thank you, Mikhail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all that we have to say about this point.
Part. Yeah.
Go ahead.
They seriously had an explanation for why he laughs. He's got a mental condition?
Yeah.
Why can't he just be a psycho with a sense of humor? Isn't the fact we don't know much about him what makes him so fascinating as a character?
Except the fact was that he's been given backstories numerous times in the comics, so you fucked up there.
Did this guy ever read
You
Alan
keep
Moore's
praising.
Joker?
Wait. I want to say good job on debunking him on that point, Arkham. Was there something more that you were going to say, though?
There's more I'm going to say. Also, by the way, another fact I noticed. So apparently, you can't have a movie. I'm sorry that they actually had an interesting reason for why he laughed the way he did instead of just being some cartoon character who just kind of laughs. I'm deeply offended, Benthelooney, but then again, I guess considering you thought that Terminator Dark Fate was a good film, I honestly didn't expect much.
I haven't seen Terminator Dark Fate, but I'm like, we've gotten origins for the Joker before. Yeah, like Alan Moore's A Killing Joke that came out over 30 years before this movie gave the Joker a very twisted and somewhat sympathetic origin.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing that they go explaining some of the things in this iteration, just as long as it's handled well. And it was, I'd say, in my opinion, handled well, Ben.
All it takes is one bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Why is every director trying so hard to be artsy-fartsy with this guy?
Because it'd be boring if they used the same template, like we said earlier.
He wanted to make a smart and intelligent movie. How dare you? God,
I am deeply sorry that we're trying to elevate comic book movies outside of really lame and generic blockbusters that you will immediately forget. That's right, Ben. We needed more Justice League. We needed Justice League again.
Right.
What we needed more bring back the Cesar Romero Joker. We need to resurrect Cesar Romero and have him beat Batman in a surfboarding contest again.
Cesar Romero, that was the played in the Adam West Batman, right?
Yes.
All right.
We need imagine this movie, but with Cesar Romero's Joker.
Yes.
Actually, I almost paid to see that.
That actually that sounds like a good idea for a parody, which they've actually done. I remember there was one a parody of The Dark Knight, but with 60s style Batman. It redid scenes from The Dark Knight, but with more of an Adam West style. It was actually a pretty funny skit.
Yeah.
It has him and Rob. being like, on one hand, good and just commission, District Attorney Harvey Dent, and the other hand, the apple of my eye, Rachel Doss. Holy carnations, Batman!
Let's continue.
Okay.
Unless you have more to say, but
Yeah. No,
This
I
is
don't.
why I'm so conflicted. It could have been a movie I still enjoyed, but why did it have to be the Joker? Why? You could have put any other character in this movie, and it would be the exact same thing.
What? Yeah, and what's the matter with them using the Joker?
It's just there for marquee value, because the Joker is a well-known property. So, I mean, I guess he's kind of right here, but it's all marquee though. It's not a reason to dislike the movie, but he's kind of right here.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to note: it actually doesn't it make kind of sense that this would be a Joker movie more of anything? So I'm trying to think of another character, like maybe Carnage could fit in this, but otherwise, I'm trying to think of a character that would work.
Venom.
Venom wouldn't quite work.
Carnage, before he got the symbiote, was already a murderous psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's why I said Carnage, like a Cletus Cassidy film. Like, just name it Cletus. That probably wouldn't sound as near. It's probably just name it Carnage because, well, Cletus doesn't sound nearly as intimidating or scary as Carnage.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if he's going to specify the reasoning as to why that they should not have used Joker as a vehicle for their, societal analysis type of movie here. Todd Phillips, I mean.
Yeah.
Let's call it Send in the Clowns or Smile or something. Oh, that's right.
Oh, piss off, dude. You're just going off about
the reason why we've got to have money.
Yeah, I think he's going to go on about that right here.
It wouldn't have grossed $1 billion otherwise. I'm really getting tired of this lazy.
I mean, what's the matter with that? I mean,
he's gonna explain. We need to hear it up.
Capitalism for the win, bitch.
Okay, playing.
Excuse of making generic movies and slapping established characters in them just for marquee value. Yeah, I'd totally see a Godzilla movie if Godzilla was actually the nickname of a Yakuza boss.
I mean, there was an animated film called Donkey King where there's a character named Godzilla and it had nothing to do with the actual Godzilla. He was just some lizard. I guess that counts.
And I talk about hyperbole. I mean, the thing with the Joker property is that Joker within the Batman universe, he was pretty much a normal guy with no powers or anything like that. So trying to make an equivalent to that, to somebody like making a movie about a crime boss and his name was Godzilla, would be different because Godzilla was some massive beast with powers himself. I don't see this as being equivalent.
Also, you could also say if they made Gamera, but he was just a gamer with a turtle backpack. Like that's the same kind of logic that Ben is using here, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
no one's going to do that because that sounds stupid.
But he's not entirely wrong that they did slap on Joker's name for marquee value for a movie about a character that doesn't really resemble the comic book character all that well. He's kind of right about that. Yeah, I don't think it's a reason to dislike the movie, but he's not wrong.
Here's another thing. If the trailers were to start presenting this movie about a Japanese crime boss named Godzilla, people would know right off the bat, yeah, this isn't about the actual Godzilla that we want. But whereas with Joker, it was a whole lot closer to what people were kind of wanting, at least somewhat, and expecting, and that was to be a superhero-based movie.
Or comic book film, not superhero movie. But
yeah, there are no superheroes in it.
Yeah, it would have been...
Unless you count little Batman, unless you count little Bruce Wayne, but I don't think I really count.
Well, he wasn't a hero yet.
That does not count.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Keep playing.
Actually, no, I wouldn't, because that would be stupid. And don't even get me.
Yeah, and people wouldn't be able to get away with it as much because the trailers would show, obviously, it's not about a giant fire-breathing dinosaur.
Sorry on all the political crap related to this movie. Oh no, the main critics badmouth this movie. Boo-hoo-hoo. Oh, would you all just get a life? They're movie critics. It's their job to hate stuff.
So, wait a minute, Ben. Wait a minute, Ben. weren't you the same person who cried and whined because Birds of Prey and Terminator Dark Fate were getting negative reviews? And The Last Jedi as well? So, by that definition, you should just ignore them too, because their job is to hate on movies that you like.
All right, Loudmouth, go.
Okay. Yeah, the reason people were criticizing the critics here is because they were clearly giving it negative reviews for political reasons.
Right.
The same way they did with Rambo Last Blood.
Yeah.
It was very obvious that they were being pressured by left-wing activists to hate this movie for some reason. And which is really weird that the left decided to hate it, because it's not a conservative movie at all. It talks about wanting universal health care and how a for-profit medical system is leaving the poor behind. It criticizes the wealthy elite, all things the left used to like, but recently they're pretty much just become a bunch of lunatics who just want to hurt people.
Oh, you're talking about Joker is not a conservative movie. It's XYZ liberal value.
Yeah, it has kind of like old school liberal values, but the modern left doesn't have those anymore.
Well, they do have those, except they have a whole bunch of other shit on top of that they prioritize sometimes, or a lot of times, more than the healthcare issues and whatnot. Right. But oh god, I can't remember what I was going to say.
Let's keep going.
I guess so.
Just play it.
They've been doing it since film criticism has been a thing. Who even reads Rotten Tomatoes anymore? There's plenty of movies I love with rotten scores. You don't see me whining about it.
Except when you do whine. What did you just mention you did cry and whine about? That was Godzilla King of the Monsters. I love that movie. Okay. I have to agree. I love that movie. But at the same time, Ben, you yourself... r/whoosh never realized that when you do the same thing, you did the exact same thing when you cried and whined about people who didn't like it.
People are still going to recommend this movie and like it in spite of whatever Rotten Tomatoes has to say. I don't get of what exactly your point is right there with the Rotten Tomatoes thing. And if people are going to be critical of a movie, that's one thing. But if people are going to be completely off base and wrong with their criticism of a movie, well, then that's an entirely different thing. It's all like, we're going to respond to you. You're being dumb. Like, people are saying, oh, how dare this movie be glorifying incels, let's say, for example. And we'd be all like, nope, screw you. This isn't about a glorification of incels or whatever. Get off your high horse.
Well, but I'm saying King of the Monsters kind of deserved a lot of its negative reviews. I liked some things about it, but I completely missed the point of Godzilla movies.
Don't get me on that. Never get me on that stupidity.
By portraying a nuclear weapon going off as a positive thing to help revive the monster and save the world, when the entire point of Godzilla was meant to be an anti-nuclear allegory.
First of all, don't get me started on that, because I think that argument is stupid beyond belief. But let's continue.
All right.
Okay.
Have we seriously gotten to the point where we can't watch movies anymore without first seeing the score it got on some site named after a gross red fruit? Oh, the media thought this movie was gonna cause violence? Well, good job falling for their bait, because they wrote a headline you couldn't help but to read, and you ranted about it to all your friends, so now the writers of those articles got the attention and ad revenue they wanted.
Sure. I mean, but that's not the issue. We want to be responding to their stupidity and exposing as to how that their opinions about it are stupid and off base and what.
It's worse than they were making. No, it is worse than he's making it out to be when it comes to those writers. Yeah. Those writers were trying to agitate for violence to happen. The people who wrote that crap, they wanted it to happen. They wanted it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's right. Mm-hmm. They weren't just saying shit for attention. What they were doing was really underhanded and despicable.
Yeah, it's the same reason. It's the same reason why I often say with fandoms. No, it's like, oh, just ignore it. Just ignore it. Like, you can't just ignore it, because what happens if it gets in the wrong hands, or this behavior becomes, it's okay. Yeah. So it's like, it's okay to persistently, like, good example, the Rambo movie, Last Blood. Oh, this movie, imagine if there was a news article, probably were like, oh, this movie's anti-Hispanic and all that, even though the film wasn't anti-Hispanic
at all.
Okay, sure.
Let me put forth another example. I mean, me responding to a Progressive Voice video, let's say, for example. Like, I want to respond to Progressive Voice because I do not want those opinions that he espouses to get into the wrong minds or to spread that much. I mean, I accept the very reasoning and possibility that, yeah, he's going to get more of that ad money because I am just adding to the viewage of his channel and whatnot. But that still is not going to prevent me from responding to the opinion. I mean, you're just speaking hot air, Ben.
Yeah, no, I was actually for my example. It's like, and if you enjoy Rambo Let's Play, then you're this, and that, and then you actually watch the movie, and it's nothing like that. It's these kind of people who will agitate you and will create a particular story and idea. If you let these people flourish, they are not good. It's going to get worse. And the same thing with Joker. Thank goodness people caught on to that, because when everyone called them out on their shit for saying the movie's this, and this, when it clearly wasn't. Or my favorite example.
Look at it this way, Ben. Yeah. We are responding to those opinions whilst inadvertently giving the short-term gain, monetary gain, for the goal of the long-term loss of their cause. Does that make sense? I mean, if ultimately we fail, well, then at least we cannot say that we didn't try.
Also, a loudmouth is gone.
All right. See you later, loudmouth. Anyway.
Congratulations. Todd Phillips whining about how he's done making comedy movies because of all the mean people on Twitter saying mean things about him. Oh, would you put your big boy pants on, Todd? You're a grown man. Maybe Due Date just sucked. Did you ever think of that? You're probably wondering why I'm...
Well, I do not have...
Did you ever think, Ben, that stop crying about the movie, stop crying about a movie people like for 2 seconds is also kind of irritating to people? Like, again, someone who has very controversial opinions about films, I can understand why people might find that a little bit irritating, because you're kind of shitting on someone's like happiness. It's like, I like this film. Well, I'm gonna tell you why you wrong, yo. I'm gonna shit all over. I'm gonna expose you. It's like, you sound like an asshole, and that's what this is coming off. If sounding like an asshole here.
If the guy thought that he was like failing earlier as a comedy director and he decided to take a new route with his direction, what's so bad about that? Him trying to try new things. Oh, wait, it's because that he took the Joker property in order to, expand on his creativity and whatnot. So therefore, that's why that it's bad, I guess.
Bringing all these points up. Well, every single review of this movie does, and I'm getting sick of hearing about them. And too many people out there who...
It brings every single what point? Let me re-listen to that again.
Congratulations. Todd Phillips whining about how he's done making comedy movies because of all the mean people on Twitter saying mean things about him. Oh, would you put your big boy pants on?
I wish I could see some examples of that, but because I can't, we're just going to move on.
Todd. And by the way, he doesn't give any examples. Ben, this is you are the presenter here. Present us with the information. And no, presenting us with a picture of Todd Phillips and a poster of
Due Date
is not good enough evidence.
Yeah.
Grown man. Maybe Due Date just sucked. Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, it sucked. He wasn't doing so successfully, so he decided to explore new avenues, that being Joker.
You're probably wondering why I'm bringing all these points up. Well, every single review of this movie does, and I'm getting sick of hearing about them. And too many people...
About hearing what? About how people are saying, Todd Phillips, he realized of how that he wasn't so successful in the past with these types of movies, so he decided to do a new type of movie, that being Joker.
And it really worked out, and people should stop crying about it.
Yeah.
Actually give it a chance. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. It's not like you've done the exact same thing. Wait a minute. You've done the exact same thing before. So, again, it's because it's something you like. That's the difference. Is
it really a bad thing that movie reviewers be mentioning that one thing about Todd Phillips and why he made Joker? I'm confused, Ben. I'm confused.
Yeah. People out there who only love a movie just for brownie points and your stupid playground culture war you're fighting.
Ben, look at yourself. I'm going to do this. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. You cried about the evil men who didn't like Birds of Prey. You did the same shit with the Star Wars sequels. You did the same shit with Terminator Dark Fate. You did the exact same thing. You made an entire video on why defending Brie Larson on numerous different occasions. And all because something female leads. Shut up.
I mean,
you were the last person to be speaking upon this. I could maybe tolerate this. I could maybe get this perspective a little more if Ben wasn't such a massive hypocrite. But no.
You would understand the criticism of, how dare this movie be a tool in the culture war if only he had engaged in the culture war himself?
Yeah. I would say, okay, I can respect it. I wouldn't agree with it, but I would respect it a bit more if he himself didn't do that upon numerous occasions and did so afterwards. And afterwards he made a video on why Brie Larson's the most hated woman on the internet. Wah, wah. It's like, shut up. At worst, she got mild dislike from people. I'd argue that Zoe Quinn is more hated, or Nita Sarkeesian was way more hated than Brie Larson.
Oh yeah. Well, by raw numbers of how many people hate them appropriately, Anita probably doesn't have as many raw amount of haters as Brie Larson, but like taken into percentages of how many people have actually heard about them, the percentage is probably higher for Anita than for Brie Larson. If I'm to just add a caveat to what you said there.
Mm-hmm. Criticism ain't for you. Get a job. And finally, it really bothers me.
get a job. Actually, scroll back.
Yeah.
Around culture war you're fighting, then maybe film criticism ain't for you. Get a job.
And says the ex-employee. The fired employee of McDonald's, who basically used his college fund to draw better porn. Fuck you were on about.
He uses
the only reason why he went to college was to draw, so he could draw his shitty porn better. Let's keep that in mind.
I don't think I want to know, and I don't think it's really that relevant. But
I just wanted to mention that because again, watching this video has given me a new. It's like things I didn't point out.
I want to hear in full extent what his point is again.
You're probably wondering why I'm bringing all these points up. Well, every single review of this movie does, and I'm getting sick of hearing about them. And too many people out there who only love a movie just for brownie points and your stupid playground culture war you're fighting, then maybe film criticism ain't for you. Get a job!
Okay, I think I know what to say now. Like, you know what's a movie that was kind of a player within the culture war? Rambo 5, to an extent. And I would say that my opinion on that movie is kind of meh. I do not outright like that movie or dislike that movie just because of the culture war. Heck, I don't even like or dislike Captain Marvel that much just because of the culture war. I mean, the feminism in that one was not as apparent as, say, in Force Awakens or Last Jedi or Ghostbusters 2016. But who the heck is liking Joker just because of it being like a tool in the culture war or whatever?
Again, he brings no examples to this because, again, that would be too hard for him to do.
I mean, some people are defending it from culture warriors, but they aren't liking it because, Joker is a representation of, white pride or whatever, but that would presumably be the opinions of alt-righters anyways. People aren't liking it because, it glorifies incels, and I'm an incel, so therefore I can sympathize with this character, so I'm going to defend it to my dying breath, regardless of how good or bad the acting is, how good or bad the cinematography and all that other stuff is. No, I'm just going to defend it purely just for political reasons. Yeah, totally. I don't hear people saying that.
And finally, it really bothers me how Luke Skywalker tossing a lightsaber size enough to make geeks on the internet lose their tampons, yet Todd Phillips can completely butt plug Batman's origin story, and they're like, yeah, sure, all right, I don't need...
How did they butt plug or... I think
what he meant... because they did something they made Thomas Wayne an asshole, and they had like a scene where Joker interacts with Bruce Wayne for a bit. Therefore, they just shoehorned it in there, man. It's not like, you know, Batman was always connected to the Joker to some extent in terms of like anything in like pop culture and story wise, whatever. And you know, it'd be a logical thing to have it there, and they made it actually naturally work considering the story and how Joker went as a whole. But oh no, Ben, keep crying about it. Keep crying a river about non-issues.
I think when he said butt plug, he actually meant butt fuck, but I don't know. I gotta hear that again.
I think he meant he tried to be. It's a really cute way of saying shoehorned. He tried to be like really cute about it, and it's really came out awkward.
Well, okay. I think his base point. Well, let me.
As enough to make geeks on the internet.
You went a little too far.
No. Just let's listen.
Yeah, Todd Phillips can completely butt plug Batman's origin story, and they're like, yeah, sure, all right. I don't need to watch a movie about a guy losing his mind.
Okay. Did he say? Yeah, he said Batman. Like, how is it so antithetical to the origins of Batman for like young Bruce Wayne to have had a very, very brief encounter with an older version of Joker? I don't understand how. You haven't explained how that is. How is it that is?
It's just bad, okay, hey, guys. It's just bad. It's just bad.
It's a botching just because I say it is. I guess so.
I already lose mine every day I walk this earth. So yeah, it's fine if you love Joker. I won't take away that's a well-made movie. A well-made Batman/Joker movie? Hell no. And when a movie is called...
Well, people are not saying that's good because of it being like superhero loyal or whatever. People are
I think that's like one of the things I liked about Joker was that it wasn't like sucking off the comics. It was actually doing something. I'm gonna breathe this in for a second. Creative. It took risks in an interesting way. Wow, I never thought that was possible. I should have known. Although, oh wait, I'm sorry. We have to be loyal to the comics because that isn't inherent. Because again, we can't just imagine it in our heads what happens in the comics in our minds. We have to see it for ourselves. The big screen when Iron Man smacks the Hulk in the face with the Hulkbuster. So we need to see it live because comic book fans are stupid sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Called Joker, that's what I expect. I just miss comic book movies that feel like comic book movies. Not some director's excuse to be all pretentious and do whatever they please with characters that don't belong to them.
Again, some of these things have been done beforehand, and if a person was to be like, if every single director from here until the end of time was to keep on doing exact comic book loyal movies based off of those comic book properties, the world would be boring. The superhero movie genre would be completely freaking boring. So I do not know why that you want every single movie to be comic book loyal.
I can just imagine this guy. When The Crow was released, which was like dark and serious. He would be like, "It's why is it so artsy? This thing should be stupid and dumb, like a comic book movie should be. Like, good. It should be darker. It should be or interesting, not like Zack Snyder dark. I mean, actually interesting. Again." I kind of view Joker in the same way of like it's this generation's version of, say, The Crow, where it was this very influential movie that inspired a lot of different people to speak out. And while The Crow didn't have any like major social issues and all that, but it created this generation, like an icon in a way. Like, if say what you want, the Joker, this version of the Joker has created an icon for people as like oppressed groups or people who've been looked down upon in society.
And by the way, hello, Cat Chat in the chat.
Yeah, and the same thing with The Crow back then, who was basically a person who was mistreated in life and had something horrible happen with like the. But granted, it was a little more of the Hot Topic crowd, but still, the point still stands. It influenced a bunch of people, and it made a definite impact. And that's why I'm getting the same thing from Joker.
Whatever they please with characters that don't belong to them. Black Panther. A movie that deals with themes of nationalism, heritage, the future, brotherhood, and tribalism is a generic movie, yet this remake of Falling Down is a masterpiece in your eyes?
Falling Down and this don't even have the same story because
Nobody is saying that Black Panther was not a heavily politicized movie and made some people think to some extent. People are just saying that it's generic, that it's a meh movie because of the quality of it. Like, have you ever seen Mahler's Unbridled Rage of it? When Mahler got criticizing that movie, it wasn't anything political to do with the movie as to why that he was disliking of it. It's because that he wasn't invested into the Black Panther character himself. He found that he was more investable in Civil War as opposed to his own titled movie. He did not really buy the motive of the Killmonger. He felt that the special effects were shit and that the world building did not make any sense. That was the reason why he outright disliked the movie, and why I say that overall I just think that it's pretty meh. I don't dislike it as much as Mahler, but all the same, there are reasons outside of politics to say why Black Panther is a generic, meh, average movie, as opposed to Joker being actually thought-provoking and being astounding in its direction.
Also, again, as much as I disagree with Mahler on Black Panther, I don't think it's. I think he's a load of shit when it comes to Black Panther. It's not just because of political reasons. Again, he's allowed to have it, and unlike you, Ben, I'm not going to cry about it every 2 fucking seconds. Like you can do. Again, I find it fun, and also, I like this whole thing of they're doing something. Oh, they don't own these characters. They're doing something they shouldn't do. It's like, shut up. Man, imagine if you did like a version of, say, I don't fucking know, your own favorite character from like Godzilla, and then you have the same person react. It's stupid. People have creators, in terms of stories or whatever, have the ability to tell their own interesting ideas with it, and that should be encouraged.
You know,
stunting creativity. And by the way, this guy's another MCU fanboy, just to let you know. So, like, which explains a lot. But
yeah, I wouldn't exactly call myself an MCU fan.
No, I'm talking about Ben here. Ben's an MCU fanboy. And like, in general, if you stunt creativity enough, and this is the reason why most people don't like superhero films, is they stunt creativity and the overall formula is there. Films like this are trying to at least do something, create something interesting, and then you have people who cry about it because it's not
trying to break the mold.
Again, it's something new and interesting. And again, do I have issues with it? Sure, I think there are elements that weren't handled correctly, or could have been handled much better. But at the same time, I can applaud it for what it's doing. Ben, for this entire time, you have been crying and whining because change. You have not grown since past your 2010 self when you cried about the Looney Tunes show because it was a little different from the Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
And yet you say you look back at those videos negatively. No, you don't. You have not changed since then. The only thing that's changed maybe is some of your viewpoints are a little less harsher, and your production is slightly better depending on the video. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, these are the same awful points that you were going back in 2010 onwards. These are the same terrible ideas. It's the same crybaby fits. You have not been. I'm glad that you have stopped doing these rants, kind of. Depends, though. He usually is very iffy when it comes to that. So, but yeah, no. This is... let's get this over with.
By the way, you mentioned Godzilla again. Like, going back to his point about how it'd be so disloyal to Godzilla if they made a movie about a Japanese gangster who decided to call himself Godzilla. Like, and I said that that's not exactly equivalent to them turning Joker into a mentally ill, more sympathetic and kind of, weakling. I mean, my question to Benthelooney, what if they were to take the property of Godzilla and turn Godzilla into a more, I guess you could say, sympathetic creature? Like, they go a little bit more into the origins of him than any other Godzilla movie has before. Like, they take the timeline, just go, like, a few thousand years back in the past, or whenever it was that exactly Godzilla was first born, and they go showing as to what caused him to develop the character that, he currently becomes. I mean, would that be too much of a change to where that you would dislike Godzilla? Or what? Because that would be a little bit more reminiscent to how they took a little bit of a change with Joker and the explanation of his origin.
Yeah. And actually, that would make more. Actually, I could argue that would be a little more in tune with the anti-humanism that Godzilla movies or kaiju films in general often present, because all of them have very critical views. It's not just like some people could argue, oh, it's like America bad, America bad. No, it's humanity, and there are many, many, many fuck ups, and that's what most kaiju films focus on. So that would actually kind of fit in tone with them, but again, maybe to the extreme. Again, probably to the extreme that it's Joker doing it. Yet he probably might have an issue with it. I don't know, or he would suck it off. Either way.
But moving on.
Sometimes I don't get you, internet. I just don't get you.
And I don't get you, your opinions, and what you're basing them off of fully. Wait, is this all?
That's it.
Benthelooney, my toonies. Okay. Yeah, he's got one of his
channel Frederator
horn dog animations right there. Yeah.
You know, this is what he spent his college intuition on, by the way, doing this shit.
This? Okay.
Yeah.
You really had to go to college to learn how to draw this stuff? Like, I'm not going to say that it's outright bad art, but it's so simplistic, and simplistic ain't always bad. I mean, let's take Simpsons or Family Guy, for example.
Also, look at the arms. Look at the arms.
Well, that aside, I mean, pretty simplistic art Simpsons and Family Guy is, and yet it still works and is stylized for its own stuff. And you could do this is like your own style of animation right here, Ben. But really, you went to college for this?
You went to college for those arms.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The arm, like, where the fuck does her
elbow? It's like the forearm or whatever. It's just the forearm.
It's just a noodle.
No, look at the arm that's like, you know, curved. That's like under her hip or whatever. It just literally looks like a triangle or something, like a shape, geometric shape.
Well, that's not as bad, at least in my opinion, as this one. Like, I cannot even make out where the forearm starts with this. But really, if you wanted to go to college for art, you could have. You should be like doing something a little bit more realistic looking as far as your art goes. Like, go for something Stan Lee-esque as far as art goes and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost expect a result like that if I was to be going to college for animation. But yeah, that was pretty much a trash review. I did not get it. You did not explain fully as to, or articulately as to why that it's bad that they took the route that they did, that Todd Phillips took the route that he did with the Joker origin. I mean, yeah, you just did not summarize as to how that it was outright bad.
Yep.
But yeah. So anyway, I do not know if I have any further things to be reviewing. In fact, we're actually at 1 hour, 12 minutes. So who knows? We might just keep this short, especially since it's 6:32 my time. And there are some other things that I want to do before the day ends and the work week begins.
I have to go now.
You do?
Yeah. All right. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. And thanks for joining along and responding to like one of your old nemesises, I guess.
All right. See ya.
Adios, Arkham. And for all of you who have joined the live chat, Mikhail, Cat Chat, Koi Monster, Sent One was in here a lot earlier, along with No One. Thank you all for joining and watching this, and I'd like to thank Arkham Knight Writer and Loudmouth Reviews for joining along and responding to this trash right here. But yeah, that's all that we have to say. Next Sunday, I am not going to be doing this show because I got another business trip. It's just going to be very vague with what's going on. It's just a business trip that is happening this weekend. So there's going to be no Strike Force on Friday, and there's not going to be any of this Dark Sanctum on Sunday either. It is what it is. I will be doing a Strike Force on Tuesday, as per usual, just to at least sort of quench everybody's thirst for more DarkCon content. But that's all that we have to say. And for all of you watching out there, I'm the Dark Conservatarian. Thank you all for watching. See you later, and God bless.